Hi, I'm Luann Aiken, the Garden Ambassador here at Tagawa Gardens in Centennial, Colorado, and we are with Miss Lina, who is one of our perennial specialists and an enthusiastic rose grower, right?
Right.
So she's here to talk us through some of the maintenance tips and techniques for how to prune roses right as we approach the middle of summer. So different roses need different techniques, right?
They do. And the purpose of pruning roses during the summer is to promote more roses. You know, you want to keep pruning the plant so you keep getting more flowers. So let's start with this little hybrid tea right here. The beauty of a hybrid tea is it has its beautiful big buds, mostly a single flower, large single flower on a long stem. These are bred to be cut and brought inside. So when you do prune a rose, or a hybrid tea, don't be afraid to make a long cut.
Where?
Anything 6 to 12 inches. You can go down to a nice leaf bud. You can go down to this one here, or if you really wanted to go further, I wouldn't go further than perhaps this one right here. And I've got, you know, they talk about 5 leaflets outward facing, but anything that you see that is healthy that will produce another branch coming out. So I would really cut that rose right about there to bring it in and have it in a vase.
Lovely, lovely. Hybrid teas. One of the divas, but worth the effort.
They are worth the effort, yes.
This little shrub rose here is a beauty, and you've already worked on him, so he looks great.
He looks great, and they're easy to grow. A lot of people do have shrub roses, and shrub is the key here. It has a nice shrubby form, easy to maintain. And usually what I do with a shrub rose, I don't even, always need my pruners. I sometimes just walk through the garden and might just snip off the flower here and there, just like that, and just take off anything that doesn't look fresh. Every now and then we will come to a collection of flowers on one branch. And look at this, the rose is telling me exactly where to prune that branch.
That
because
pale
you've
new
got,
growth,
yes, the pale new growth right there. So you just want to make that cut about a 1/4 inch above that growth, somewhere where you can get new growth coming up. Here's another variety of shrub rose, and what I like about the shrub roses, especially this one here, this one's called Home Run. You see this nice new red growth. So even when the rose is not in bloom, you've got this nice red growth, and the younger the growth, the redder the foliage. So it tells you right there where to make that cut. In this case, let's say right here, this flower is sort of coming to an end there, and I see a very tiny little bit of growth there. I would want to cut that flower off just above that growth, and how simple is that? Very easy. And then if you find that you've made several little cuts here and there and it's starting to look a little branchy, you can go down a little bit further and go and make a cut right here. But I'm not going to do that on this branch right here, because look at all that new growth coming up and potential flowers. That's what you have to look at with the new growth, potential flowers. And this one is just going to be loaded in a couple of weeks with new flowers.
More pruning, more buds.
Absolutely.
More flowers.
That's
Okay.
one thing you have to always remember.
Move on to the climber.
The climber. Climbing roses are not, they're a little more maintenance perhaps than a shrub rose, because in order for it to grow and produce the flowers, you have to know where to make those cuts. So usually, in this case, we have actually a dead branch right here.
Dead and dying or
Dead
diseased
and dying,
it goes.
yes, and I'm going to cut it right there. Actually, if I was at a better angle, I'd cut a little bit further down to the base. And so that's what you want to do with a climbing rose. Cut down anything that's broken, diseased, or damaged right down to the base, so it will put out a new branch. Now, if we have a nice, healthy branch, let's take this one right here. We have a nice healthy branch here, and it is off the main branch. You've got the main branch right here, and so this is a lateral, and that's where you're going to have your flowers, off the lateral branch. So the lateral branch is what you want to keep pruning back throughout the season. So for example, once these flowers are done, I'm going to look down here. Sometimes, again, it will give me new growth and it will tell me exactly where to put it, make the cut. Otherwise, I'll just cut it back down to here. You can take about 6 inches or so on those lateral branches. The main branches, you don't ever want to cut back more than 1/3, because if you start cutting on the main branches that come from the base more than 1/3 during the growing season, you're going to take a lot of the energy away from the plant. And the whole purpose of having roses is to have those flowers. So it's the laterals that you want to cut back off the main branch, and you can just keep pruning them all the time.
What else do we have here?
I have, come right over here, Floribundas. And just remember, a Floribunda has an abundance of flowers, all on one stem. So in this case, you're going to have flowers at all different stages. And so usually in my garden, I'll come through and, for example, just to tidy it up, I'll just snip something off here and there. On this case, I will just snip down to there so I can get a new flower coming up there throughout. But let's say you've gone for a week on vacation, you come back and you've got just a lot of mostly dead. You want to take this whole branch back that has all the flowers. And in this case, I would go down to a branch here that will give me an outward facing new growth. Yes, new leaf. And so I would just cut above that. I'm not going to cut that because it's still very pretty. But that's where I would make the growth, and then the cut.
When you say outward facing, what do you mean and why?
Well, an outward facing new growth is something that is going to, once you cut above it and you've got new growth coming out, it's going to go outwards towards the garden, I guess, rather than in toward the shrub. If you start cutting things and they keep growing in towards the middle of the shrub, you're going to have a lot of crossing branches, a lot of confusion there, flowers that are going to run into thorns, and then the wind blows and you get a lot of damage. So you want to keep making that shrub grow out and open in the center.
And airy.
Yes,
perfect.
Airy. So I'm going to show you right here. Here is my choice of an outward facing new growth, and I'm just going to pinch that right there. So you can see really clearly here that when that branch continues to grow, it's going to grow outwards. And then we'll have new growth coming out, producing another branch of flowers.
And same for this one?
The same with this one. And here we'll see, you know, this rose here is already telling me where to make those cuts. Look at all that new growth right there. So I would, once this is all done, I would make my cut right above this new growth right there. I could go down to that one, but why would I want to waste a new growth up there?
Right.
So it's very, very easy to do. Anything like this, of course, a dead flower that's already there, I would just make that cut right there. And yes, that was not an outward facing, but it had new growth, and I'm not going to waste it.
There are bendable rules and guidelines.
Yes, there are.
Roses can be so much fun in the garden, and they can be, a lot of them are really tough and Colorado friendly, front range friendly.
Very tough and very friendly. Actually, we are at a great advantage here in Colorado because we don't have that high humidity and we don't have those fungal diseases as much as they do on the East Coast. So roses really love Colorado. We have lots of sunny days and they just love growing. Anything from a miniature rose all the way up to a climber.
All the way on up. If you have questions about your miniature roses, all the way on up to a climber, come see Lina and the rest of our perennial and rose staff in the rose department. Do indeed come see us at Tagawa Gardens. We would love to help you be green and grow. If you like this video, feel free to share it with a friend, and come see us at TagawaGardens.com for more videos like this. You'll also find us on Facebook and Twitter.